Kia ora and welcome back to Counter Narratives and the Performance Arcade here at Toi Poneke, Wellington's favourite rehearsal space. Today we're going to be talking to Sarah Burrell and we'll be learning about her project. So let's give her a call and see what she's got to say for herself.
Hello.
Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Going really well.
I'm really interested in your project and what it's doing with objects and storytelling. It seems like a really fascinating thing to experience to give an audience.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you think so. I hope they think so as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with your concept?
Sure. So in my work, I look a lot at how to frame everyday spaces or objects and unpack the stories behind them. So I was just really interested in how people attribute personal significance to the things that they keep in their lives and wanted to explore that and find a way of sharing people's stories. So basically what I'm doing in my project is asking members of the public to donate objects that are important to them, record the stories associated with them, and through RFID technology, tag those objects and allow visitors to the arcade to explore that collection and listen to those stories.
Is the person recording their own story? Is it their voice that you hear when you're...
It will be their voice, yeah. And we have a loose script for them to organize their narrative around, but it is their personal narrative. So it could be an object to do with their childhood, to do with their family, something they no longer need in their life. Yeah.
What's the weirdest object you've had?
Well, we're collecting all the objects in a workshop a week prior to the arcade, so we haven't gotten them yet.
Right. Okay.
But I'm interested to see.
You're interested to see?
Yeah.
What's the kind of objects that you've spoken to yourself? If you were going to give an object, what would you? Have you got anything in mind?
Yeah, so I've been workshopping the script a little bit and with my collaborators doing some test narratives, and an object that I've been working with is a bronze toy horse that was in my family, and I don't know exactly where it came from, and my mom can't remember. We just know it's been handed down, and she has a strong relationship with horses. My grandfather kept horses, so that's just a bit of family history. We don't have a lot of things that go that far back.
My family doesn't either, but we've got a toy that's terrifying. It's a stuffed lamb, and for some reason the stuffing has just gone slightly out of the neck, so it looks like it's got a snapped neck slightly to the side. This is terrifying for our viewers. I apologize. This is very organically coming out. And so we've grown up as children, and now it's getting passed down to our nieces and nephews with this terrifying lamb, which we don't have the heart to throw away. So now it lives in cupboards in various relatives' households. Yeah.
Well, nice. I mean, it's bearing the signs of a lot of love, clearly.
I'd hope so, or hate, or it's killed people, and we really need to get it blessed or something.
Exactly. Exorcise the demons.
Hey, so what's the technology you're using to get this all done?
Good question. So I've got a little setup here to show you guys. What we're using is RFID and Raspberry Pi. So this is an RFID sensor. RFID basically is a technology where you can tag items or objects with this little coil here. Sometimes that can be like in a key ring. So if you have a key fob at work and you boop it when you go into work, it's booping a sensor like this, and that's RFID. Or if you're booping your snapper card, that's also RFID. So what we can do instead of it opening a door is we can get it to basically do whatever we want because of this awesome Raspberry Pi, which is like a really powerful mini computer that just doesn't have a screen. So when people in the installation go and take an object off the shelf and bring it to the sensor area, the object's going to have this coil underneath. The reader's going to read that, tell the Raspberry Pi to pull up their audio file, and then the person can put on headphones and listen to the story.
That's amazing. That's cool. And the Raspberry Pi, that's from the UK? It's a UK company?
I believe so. Do you know a bit about Raspberry Pi?
I know a little bit about Raspberry Pis because I'm a geek at heart. So yeah, no, I just know that they were the whole kaupapa behind it was affordable computers for people. So I think it's really cool that you're incorporating it into the Performance Arcade.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a good community, and they have so many different forums and projects on their website, so you can really learn, and it's super open source, so very accessible, very democratic. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Speaking of things which are open source and democratic, is there something community-based in what you're trying to do with the project, both in sourcing objects from the community, but also and then giving stories back? Is there sort of a narrative there that you're trying to write? Yeah,
definitely. A lot of my work is participatory and trying to go beyond the audience just pressing a button and making something happen, in that sense of participation. So really wanting to give participants an active role in creating the work and forming the narratives of the work and expressing their divergent points of view that might, go together, they might conflict. Basically, what I was trying to say is that in the project, interested in giving people a platform for expressing their different points of view and their stories around their objects, and giving them a real authentic form of participation within the work.
And that's quite empowering for an audience member as well.
I think so. I think just letting people know that their stories are valid, their stories are interesting, and just really creating a framework around presenting that. So it's really their work. I'm just finding a way of, packaging it together.
No, that's a really awesome way to do it. And also, it's funny how in the arts we often our lives and the way we lead them and the simpleness of being able to express something or make something which allows what we're feeling to come out, we kind of begin to take that for granted. So I think it's really cool that you're finding a way that the average audience member can just come in and see how awesome being able to express their own story is.
Yeah, and I'm also very nervous and excited to see what people bring in, because at this stage, I don't know. So we'll see in the workshop.
Do you have a number? Do you know how many objects you'll be working with?
I'm hoping to get up to 100. So we'll see how many people come in the workshop. At the moment, I think I've got about 30 RSVP'd. So we might hold a second workshop the next day. And then also people are welcome to come to the arcade and bring in objects, and we'll record them on the fly and add them in.
That's amazing. So at least 100 objects with stories.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So interested to see what the stories are.
I'm always interested to find out what Wellingtonians make of telling up this. It's not a very New Zealand thing to necessarily give up a little bit of your story.
Sharing and playing well with each other.
Ironically, since we're a massive rugby nation.
Yeah.
No, well, thank you very much, Sarah. I think that sounds like an incredible project. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I might have to look around and see if I've got an object I can bring in and record on the fly.
Yeah,
I might not bring the lamb, because it sounds, just judging from your reaction to it, I might just end up terrifying people. But I'm sure it's...
That's all right. You can bring the lamb. All objects welcome.
Oh, thanks. All right. I'll bring it down and see what you make of it.
All right. Sounds good, James. All right. See
Thanks
you
a
at
lot,
the
Sarah.
arcade. Bye.
That was Sarah Burrell talking about her incredible project of objects and storytelling. So you can see that down at Performance Arcade, and we'll catch you again here at Counter Narratives.